This video is going to give you a quick overview of how to create an app with Project Island, and I'm also going to show how hot reloading works in this context. Project Island is an experimental hot reloading Vulkan renderer that I've been working on for the last couple of years or so, and you'll find it on GitHub. And once you've downloaded or cloned the repository, you'll probably have a directory structure that's going to look a bit like mine here. So you'll have an island folder, and then there's a subfolder in there called apps. And in apps, there's a folder called examples, and we're going to work in examples. So let's just go to examples. Take a look here. And in order to create a new app, we can use a script that's an app generator that creates the whole scaffold, basically the whole boilerplate of what an app usually needs, so that you only have to add the things that actually make your app special and don't have to worry about all the kind of boilerplate. Let's use that script. It lives two folders below the current example directory in scripts, and it's called create app. You give it the name of your new app, and let's call it new app. Right. So what we have here is like a new app. Let's see what happens if you go there. Okay, and we see there's a CMake file, and then there's a couple of other files. The CMake file is the one that we're most interested in right now. So I'm using Qt Creator a lot as an IDE because it's really nice on Linux. But you feel free to use whatever else works. The integration with CMake is quite nice, which is why I use it. Some people prefer not to use an IDE at all, and that's fine too. So let's use Qt Creator right now, just because it's a bit simpler. In Qt Creator, you can open CMake files as project files, and that's what we're going to do. In examples, it's called new app, and it's called the CMake file. And Qt Creator greets us with a configuration screen here. It asks us which compiler toolchain to use, and we could use Clang or GCC. Nowadays I prefer Clang because it's just a little bit faster, but GCC doesn't make much of a difference. It's quite fast too. Right, configure project. We should be set. So let's take a look. So all this is basically the framework, all this is Island. And our app itself lives in this little folder here called new app, because we named it new app, right? Let's take a look at what we get. So we have a classic structure where we have a setup function, which is called create in this case. We have an update function here, and we have a destroy function. The most important function is, of course, the update function, because this is where our app gets updated every tick. And the app function also has the app function also sets up how drawing happens. And most of our drawing happens in render passes. And in a basic example, you only have one render pass. And the render pass here is called root or main. You can name it however you want it. So let's see what happens in the execution of the main render pass. We see there's a camera, then there's a couple of shaders, there's a pipeline that's being set up. But the thing we're really interested in is this bit here. We have an encoder that gets the vertex data, gets the pipeline bound, and then draws 3 vertices. So what should we expect to see if we compile? Well, let's just compile and see what happens. All right, so let's hit compile. So this compiles everything, so the whole framework gets compiled and our app, and it took about 6 seconds, so it's relatively fast. Let's run. And boom, we have a triangle, as we expected. It's interactive. And the nice thing though is that we don't have to quit the app and restart it if we want to change anything, which is kind of nice. So let me show you how that works. Remember we took a look at the execution function of our render path. So this is where the drawing happens. And we see here that the vertices are set up here with positions and also colors. So the idea is to change the color and see what happens, right? So if you change the color of a vertex, let's change the first vertex to be white, I say. So let's see that, and then that one. Oh, what did I do? Ah, I see. I just closed the window. Okay, so up. Okay, so let's just see what happens. Let's just compile that. Oh, okay, so let's compile it. And you see the thing has changed and our app is still running. We can also change it back, really, I think. So let's do that as well. And compile, and it's back to normal, right? This is quite useful because it allows you to change your app without quitting and restarting, so you can keep the state of the app. So you don't have to deal with very long iteration cycles. And the idea is that you can tweak your app while you're working at it, and you don't have to wait every time. Let's do something a bit more exciting, I guess. How about we add some animation? So let's see, we want to rotate the triangle. So for that we would have to manipulate the model matrix of the triangle, which you can do here. So let's rotate it. So okay, so we apply the rotation. So that's GLM rotate. I think, what does it want? It wants a matrix, an angle, and a axis. So the matrix is the matrix from before. The angle needs to be given in radians, so we want to give it 2 pi as a float, and we want to scale this by a changing angle because we want to animate this, and we can change it by manipulating the angle with the current frame counter. The current frame counter is basically a number that goes up every time a frame has elapsed, and that's a property of the app. So let's see, app.frame counter, and that's an integer, so we can use a modulo on that. I can divide it by floats so that the whole thing is back to 0.1 range, and now we need to give it an axis, and we want it to rotate counterclockwise, which means we have a right-handed coordinate system, so x, y, z, so it needs to point towards us, right? So we want this to be a axis that looks like this, like 3, and it needs to go up and point to us. I think that should be all, apart from the missing semicolon at the end. Let's compile that, and boom, we are rotating. Right, that's it. So you see, we can change the application while it's running. We could even, I don't know, change the kind of size of one of these, like triangle corners, or just the kind of length of the triangle, and everything still animates and goes on as if it had never stopped, and it doesn't really stop. Oh, there you go. Well, that's another thing we can do real quick. All right, I think that's it for now, and I think I'm going to do a couple of other videos, so stay tuned for some more, I guess.